What is something someone said to you that made your brain hurt because it was so stupid? I once got one of those deep wisdom forward emails saying something like, which one is greater, sun or moon? The answer is the moon because sun shines in the day when there is already light available. But moon shines in the night when there is no light. The most downright moronic thing on so many levels. I felt like being hit on the head with a giant hammer. To this day, I rage when I think of the person who made it. Why does the elevator have a button for the floor I'm on? So stupid. I was in an elevator with my girlfriend on the second floor, and when we pressed the first floor button, it wouldn't go down for some reason. She was convinced it was because we were actually already on the first floor, because she thought the plastic star next to the button which designates the main floor was there to tell us which floor we were on. I asked her what she thought the star would do if we went up a floor, and she realized her mistake. She sounds attractive. I overheard someone talking to an IT staff member and said the following. Dumbass, but the computer restarts much faster when I push the power button on the screen. IT, but that just shuts off the screen. DA, no it doesn't, it reboots my computer super fast. You don't know much about computers if you never knew that before. IT, I'm telling you it just turns of the screen. DA, watch I push the button, click, and when I push it again, click, the computer is now rebooted, look it even says that Dell thing. IT, look, I'm telling you it just shuts off the screen. It does not reboot the PC. DA, look, I think I know computer better than you. I had the first iPad and I know a thing or two about computers. You'd have to be going awful fast to go a mile a minute though, probably like 80 miles per hour. Whenever I drive and see a sign like city 10 miles away, and I'm going 65 to 70 on the highway, I always predict it will be roughly 10 minutes away. Am I genius? When I worked at a Best Buy, back in the 90s, a lady wanted a certain software program. I asked if she had Windows or a Mac, and she said a Mac. I told her we didn't have it for that. She found it for a PC and threw it in my face that I was dumb and couldn't find it for her. I said, yes, but you said you have a Mac, and that is for a PC Windows. She flourished the box in my face and said, it's a CD. It will fit in any computer. I said, you're right, and just walked away. Were you there when she came back screaming about how she was sold a defective copy? I don't believe so. But open software is open software. I don't think customer service cared how it got that way. In all likelihood customer service would have sent her to the techs if she said something like that. Worked in a coffee shop a few years back. Snobby hipster girl with her accessory gay friend walk in. Cappuccino, make it dry. Do you know what dry is? My co-worker taking the order was new, and I go ahead and say to the customer, sure, any specific milk preferences? Girl, I said dry, you don't know what that means? Me, yes, I know what dry means, do you have a milk preference? Girl, dry means all foam, they snicker to each other. Me, did you not know that foam is made from milk? Girl startled and furious, just make me a dry cappuccino. I made her a decaf dry cappuccino with half and half. By the way, if you're a donk to your barista, you'll probably get decaf. Edit, hi guys, I've maybe given someone decaf on purpose 2-3 times in my life. This was one of those times. I feel so super bad about it, but I honestly don't have much respect for people who treat servers like shit, and this is how I play God. I'll turn myself into the police tonight, I promise. I was in the car with my sister and one of her friends once, and we drove past a marsh with a bunch of cattail plants in it. My sister said, look, cattails. Did you know, Native American women used to use them as tampons? Her friend said, gross. Then was quiet for 2 minutes, then said, God, you'd have to catch a lot of cats. Shortly after Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 was shot down in Ukraine, I was out to dinner with my cousin. In that time she brought up the topic and said to me, I am sad that the plane was shot down, but it's good that we finally found it. I didn't know planes could stay in the air so long. She thought that the Malaysia Airlines flight that got lost in March was the same plane that got shot down in July, and it had just been flying around since then. A woman brought back a laptop to run as it wasn't working. It was full of water. Ain't been no water around that computer. It must have come from the electrical cord you gave me. Oh, geez, you reminded me. Back when people were switching from dial-up to DSL and then to cable, I would often explain the difference with the idea of, think of a garden hose. You can only fit so much water through a garden hose. But think of a fire hose. More water, at a faster speed, can go through the hose. Having broadband is like having a fire hose. Customer, but will it increase my water bill if I get the broadband? Overheard this from some teenage girls at a hotel. The fitness center says 24 hours. That means it's open all the time. Well, actually there are only 23 hours and 56 minutes in a day. I've counted. So it's open more than all the time. What the duck does more than all the time mean? I can't comprehend it. Edit. To clarify, the girl said this non-jokingly. She said it very matter-of-factly, like Hermione Granger correcting someone. I've counted? I imagine her sitting staring at the clock. Got bored and dozed off for 4 minutes somewhere in there. A coworker, one who I am not very close with, was talking to me about a project. Then she just said, "Why do you squint your eyes so much? Do you need glasses?" I said, I am Japanese. She was deadpan serious. This one isn't as face-palmingly dumb as some of the others, but a little thought really brought to light how stupid it was. We were at Longhorn, I think. Maybe Outback, and we were waiting on a table, and so was this other guy, dressed in a suit, talking on the phone on a business call. A couple walked in, walks up to the hostess, gives her their name, and she takes them to their table. They had called ahead. Well, the other guy waiting for a table completely flies off the handle. Why the duck did they get seated before I did? Well, they called ahead. So if I go outside and call, you'll go ahead and give me a table? No, you would have had to call an hour ago like they did. Well, how the duck was I supposed to know to do that? You could see the hostess's wheels slowly turning as she realizes that this man, dressed in a business suit, who's been on a business call for the last 10 minutes talking about contracts and stuff, had no idea what calling ahead at a restaurant means. He finally stormed out, still cursing. We just looked at her with the most shocked look on our faces. Then they gave us a free dessert for having to listen to his temper tantrum. Is the paper expired? Said by my boss about the printer paper when the printer was acting up. Edit. For clarification, the paper was newly delivered. My boss is American. Yes, I understand paper gets old. We don't work with old paper. I had a stupid boss once. He was fresh out of business school, conned into buying into a failing company with his parents' money. At one point, a project had gone badly, and he asked how it looked. I replied that it looked like hammered dog shit. English wasn't his first language, but he was pretty fluent. He said, like dog shit? The poop of the dog that has been hit with a hammer? Is that good or bad? He found the situation stressful, and had started drinking coffee for the first time. At one point, he had made a pot of coffee, but hadn't properly seated the coffee pot in the machine, and coffee was overflowing from the top of the filter holder. Everyone has done this once, but this guy was standing there staring at it, pissing coffee all over the counter. I walk into the room, see the problem, and he's looking at it like a dog trying to figure out the can opener. He didn't take his eyes off of it as he said, in a faraway voice, "It's fascinating. It's ducking everything up." There's this stoner that could have sworn he was some all-knowing scientist and the reincarnation of the Dalai Lama. He got his GED in high school cause he couldn't stand being so smart around his peers. That's not my answer. My answer is when he posted on Facebook that, "Hey guys, I learned how to reach an orgasm simply by only using my brain power. I learned it in 1 minute, and it is great. Also, while I'm here," a day later or two he posted, "If any of you want help quitting any smoking or drinking, come to me. I'm starting a rehab service where I can cure you in a day. It's all in the mind, guys. That's why I drink and smoke every day, cause I can control it to not affect me. HMU." On the phone with a coworker outstationed at another office. "Oh, yeah, I'm all out of paper for the copier. Can you fax me some?" Me, "Yeah, I'll get right on that. Wait, what? I host bar trivia. I was reading out answers, one of which required the answer to be rounded to the nearest whole number. Then this lady starts arguing with me that 3 isn't a whole number. After a few rounds of me telling her how wrong she wasn't letting up. So I had the entire bar tell her that 3 was indeed a whole number. She shut the duck up for the rest of the night. She's also school teacher head desk. My ex informed me that she was not allowed to date me because her parents said, "We had a dream and God told us you should not go out with this guy." I think God would have better things to do with his time than tell people to sabotage other people's relationships. Sounds like God was watching your back to me. I was at a 5-year-old's birthday party that my son was invited to. The stupidity was not one of the kids. The father of the birthday boy was trying, with much difficulty, to assemble a small plastic toy that the kid had just opened. He looked at me and said, "This is just Chinese payback for Pearl Harbor." I just looked at him like, "You want to take that one back? Maybe correct the 2 things you got wrong?" Nope. He just stood there smiling. Smiling, because he was stupid. At a previous company where I worked, 2 co-workers were arguing over code. I tried to figure out what's going on, and the guy explained that his code was definitely right, and hers, the other co-worker, implemented a function wrong. I asked to check her code in case he was correct, and he became very defensive, claiming it's impossible for her to be right because he was right, because God made man so man can never be wrong. So if a woman disagrees with a man, she is always wrong. Edit, she was right. When I checked her code, it made sense. His code on the other hand looked like they were copied and pasted from various sources, and cobbled together inside the function stubs that were seeded by the template. I think it's important to note that at this point, he was only 5 months into his first job as a developer, and he was lacking formal training in software development. 8th grade history class, teacher mentions the Civil War. Girl raises her hand and asks, "Wait, who won the Civil War? The Dominicans or the Republicans?" The teacher looked at her for a few seconds with the most disappointed expression I have ever seen, before just carrying on with the class. It was a tie, that's why it is called Dominican Republic. I was writing a title in Spanish, and one of my classmates goes, "Whoa, are you sure that's Spanish? The letters look just like English letters." This will probably get buried, but I work in a lab with a very special person we consider a walking hazard. Here are 3 that come to mind immediately. Regarding a drain pipe for an instrument, gravity needs at least 2 feet to work. Yeah, I hate it when I go to put something down on the floor and it floats. Regarding a poorly venting fume hood, it's just a smell, it can't hurt you. I live life in fear, people. Regarding a change discovery, I like science, just as long as it doesn't change anything. When I worked at Barnes & Noble, I had a customer ask me if we had any photography books from Bible times. Yes, but the cameras were really primitive back then, so the photographs just look like drawings. Yeah, I asked her if she meant like photographs of reenactments or something, and she said no, she meant from the actual time period. I said, "No, I'm sorry, we don't. I don't think they had cameras back then." She said, "Oh, okay. Bye." Astronomy 101. Girl who often talked to hear the sound of her own voice asked, "Does the sun shine in just one direction, and does it happen to be on Earth all the time? Like a ducking lighthouse?" Girl in my high school science class, like, "What is the sun?" Me, "It's a star." Oh man, I don't know this stuff. I never studied astrology. Dude, I ran like 8 acres on the treadmill this morning. An acre is 43,560 square feet. The average treadmill is 1.5 feet wide, meaning that to cover an acre one would have to run 29,040 feet, or 5.5 miles. If your friend covered 8 acres, it means he would have had to run 44 miles. The widest treadmills can be up to 32 inches wide. If he had been using one of these, he would only need to run 24.75 miles, or just under a marathon, to cover 8 acres, which seems more reasonable.